Great audio made simple. That is the Vocaster One. The Focusrite Vocaster One is a USB-C audio interface for solo content creators, streamers, and podcasters. I've had the Vocaster One for about a year now, and I feel like I have a reasonable amount of experience with it to give you a fair review. Video is not sponsored, bought this myself. I just want to get that out there and let you know where I'm coming from with it. The Vocaster One has been awesome. It is or has made getting into content creation, particularly on the audio side of things, really easy and, to be honest, really fun. I had no experience with audio equipment, and this might sound silly, but I was a little intimidated by like XLR interfaces and XLR mics, and I almost went with a USB-C or a regular USB mic to keep things simple, but I'm really glad I didn't, and let me show you why. First up, the build and design of the Vocaster One. The way they have built the Vocaster One is really awesome in my opinion. Pretty much all the input outputs are on the back of the device. This is really good or convenient, I think, because it makes cable management super easy. All your cables just easily run out the back, and you can hide them on the back of your desk. Some of the audio interfaces I looked at, stuff goes on both sides, and it just got a little more complicated. But that's one thing that I really like about it. It has a clean cable setup. And I'll talk about the input-output a little bit more. As far as the actual design of it, it has a very modern and kind of sleek industrial look to it. The corners are rounded off, and the front panel has a slight angle to it for ergonomics. And it's also really easy to just glance down at it and get a visual feedback of everything that's going on it, such as your audio levels, if your microphone's muted or something like that. Let me show you the rear input output. This is kind of the business end of the Vocaster One. Starting on this end, we have the power button. This is pretty self-explanatory. You just press the button to turn it on, press the button to turn it off. But this is really nice because you can, or if you need to make sure the device is powered off for like privacy reasons, and you're having a conversation or you want to make sure you don't have a hot mic in the background, you can just turn it off and all the lights go off and you are good to go. Not all USB-C or USB devices have this feature, so it's just really nice to have something that you can just turn off when you really want it off. Next to that, there's a USB-C port. This is for your power and your data, and you can hook this up to a Mac or PC and use your software of choice to record your audio. So you have a lot of versatility there as far as what you can hook it up to and what software you can use. After that is the camera icon. This is a 3.5 millimeter jack. This is an audio output for your cameras. This is probably my favorite thing about this. I love this because you can get your video and audio recorded straight into your camera, and you don't have to worry about doing any audio syncing in post. So particularly if you're just getting started, a podcaster, or you do live streams, or if you're new to content creation, this is an awesome feature. Pretty much a must-have in my opinion. Above the camera icon, there's a Kensington lock. At least I think that's what they're called. This is basically just a way to secure the device. So if you have a Kensington lock or a Kensington cable lock, you can just leave the Vocaster, like if you're on location at a convention or something and you're interviewing people, you can have it locked to the table that you're using, and you won't have to worry about somebody just unplugging it, picking it up, and taking it off with it. Back to the lower part, you have hookups for speakers. They're marked with the right and left. Pretty straightforward, nothing too technical to talk about here. If you do a podcast where you take phone calls, there's a little phone icon above another 3.5 millimeter TRRS jack, and this is how you could connect your phone to it so you can get the audio from your phone call and have that conversation if you do a podcast like that. So this is if you're doing podcasts and you're a solo content creator, this is another awesome feature that the Vocaster has. Moving along, we have the 48 volt phantom power button, and I don't totally know the technical aspect of this, but long story short, a lot of XLR microphones need a device called a booster. Like one popular booster is called a cloud lifter. And basically what this does is it amplifies the signal of the microphone so that it doesn't sound quiet. Without this signal booster, the microphones basically will be really quiet. With the Vocaster One, it's already built in, so it's just that much easier to set up, and it's one less thing you have to worry about buying. Last but not least, you have the XLR input or output. Pretty self-explanatory. This is where you plug in your XLR cable. For one end goes in your mic, other end goes in your Vocaster One, set it and forget it. And that's it for the rear I/O. Let me show you the front panel. There's only one I/O jack on the front of it. That's the headphone jack. It's a 1/4-inch jack. So if you do have a headset like me that's a 3.5 millimeter jack, you will need an adapter. So that's something to keep in mind depending on what type of headset you have. On the front panel, there is a little strip with 3 icons on it. Starting from the right, you have a microphone icon. In the middle, there's a magic wand, and to the left, there are 3 bars. Starting with the microphone icon, that is a mute button. So this is pretty much a must-have in my opinion. If you are doing a podcast or you're streaming, or if you need to turn the mic off really quickly for whatever reason, this is a super handy feature to have. Like, say you're gonna cough or sneeze and you don't want to cough in everybody's ears while you're streaming or podcasting. You could just hit that mute button and you are safe. In the middle with the magic wand, that is the enhanced feature. Focusrite has a software called Vocaster Hub, and I'll talk about that a little bit more. Essentially what this does is you can pick one of the presets they have and it'll enhance your voice for more clarity and tone based on whatever your preferences are. I believe there's 4 presets, but I'll go a little bit more in depth on that later. To the left of the little button strip there, you have the auto gain feature. This is a pretty handy feature to have, I think. Setting up the gain on the interface, if you don't know what you're doing, can be a little bit tricky. And this helps you work around that. Basically, you press the button and you speak for 10 seconds. The software will set the gain where it thinks it should be based on your voice and noise in the environment. I have used it, and for the most part, it does work. I have found that I think it plays it a little safe, and it's a little quiet. So it does give you a good starting point, but you might want to turn it up like just a little bit to get it to exactly where you want. But if you're really new to audio, this is great because it just gives you an easy place to start off with. On the main portion of the panel are 2 large knobs. The one on the left with the 2 circular light bars around it is your microphone gain. This is kind of not exactly the same as volume, but it increases how loud your microphone is. And the 2 light indicators tell you if your microphone or your voice is too loud. If you're in the green, you're good. If you're in the yellow, you're getting a little crazy. And if you're seeing red the whole time you're speaking, that means it's too loud, so you want to turn that gain down a little bit. The knob to the right is the volume control for your speakers and your headset. So depending on how you like to hear stuff in your headset, you can turn it way up and you can really hear your voice. That's a little weird for me. I don't like hearing my voice in my headphones very much. I have it very low, but that's just a nice feature to have depending on what you're doing. If you're streaming or podcasting, you can turn it up to suit your needs. On the very top portion of the Vocaster, there are 2 little icons. One is a 48 volt indicator. That is the indicator that your 48 volt phantom power is on. Basically, if it's red, power's on. If it's not red, the 48 volt power is not on. And the little laptop icon is your power. This lets you know that the device is getting power and it's hooked up and you are ready to use it. Speaking of power, the Vocaster, one thing that's really nice about it is once you have it set up how you want it, especially through the software, the Vocaster Hub, you can take it and use it on location wherever you want. And you don't necessarily need to hook it up to a computer. As long as you can provide it power, whatever you had set it to, it'll use those settings when you're on location. So that's pretty nice if you want to minimize the amount of stuff you want to carry around with you. The Vocaster does come with some bundled software. This might be of really good value to you if you're into podcasting. The first software it's called Hindenburg Lite. It's a podcast recording software. And the second bit is 6 months of a cast influencer. That's a podcast publishing platform. So that's a pretty good bonus if you're into podcasting. The software that ships with the Vocaster is called the Vocaster Hub. And this is essentially a way to customize your sound settings and all the preferences of the Vocaster, and also how to update it, like the firmware and stuff. It's basically a software interface version of what's already on the device hardware-wise. I want to just give you a little bit more info on the enhance feature. There's basically 4 presets. I haven't really used all of them. I am using the bright preset, and that basically just makes your voice a little brighter and warmer is, I think, the description. But they do have 4 different settings. One's radio, one's clean, one is warm, and one's bright. So depending on how your voice sounds, like if you have a really bassy voice, it can kind of tone that down. Or if your voice is squeaky, it can add a little more body and boldness to it. A nice feature to have if you just kind of want to lively things up on your podcast or your stream, or just when you're recording your audio. So overall, I really love the Vocaster One. I'm super glad I picked it. It's made getting into audio and content creation, particularly with audio, really fun and easy. And that was really what I was looking for out of it. Shopping for XLR devices and all the hardware, there's so much stuff out there, and it was a little intimidating and kind of annoying, because I was like, God, there's so many little nuances to it. I just want to get started and get set up and start recording stuff and streaming. And this is definitely the device to get, in my opinion, if you're looking for really great audio and just made simple. It's basically a piece of hardware that once you set it and forget it, it just gets out of your way and you can do your thing. It's a very well-built professional piece of hardware, I think. I hope this helps you pick an audio interface. If you're new to audio, I really think this is a good choice. It should be on your short list for sure. But what are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments, and we'll see you in the next video.